Wendy Wu, Chief Marketing Officer from SailPoint, and Jaishri Subramania, Senior Vice President of Product Marketing from SailPoint.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone still enjoyed the conference so far. It's been wonderful so far to see all of you here again. So let's start with a question. Quick show of hands. How many of you have deployed AI tools in the last year? Hands? Yeah, I see a lot of hands. Now, keep them up if you know exactly what credentials these AI tools are using. Still some up? All right, keep them up. If you have a governance process in place for these AI agents. Not many left, right? So that right there is the problem. You all just revealed the biggest blind spot in enterprise security today. While you've been busy keeping the bad guys out of your systems, AI agents has been logging in with valid credentials. They're accessing your sensitive data. They're running around with almost zero oversight. When they get compromised, your traditional control systems won't even see it. But here is the twist. This is not a cautionary tale about AI risk. It's the reason why 30% of organizations today, they rank IAM as the single area with the highest ROI across all security investment. Yes, the highest. That's more than double any other security domains, more than endpoint protection, network protection, or the cloud. So today, my friend Jaishri and I are here to tell you it is the latter. And here is the data that we're going to share with you from the Horizon study that will explain to you that this is a challenge we have to solve today. Jaishri, turn it over to you.
Thank you, Wendy. Hello, everyone. So identity, right? Identity used to be something that you would all set up once, and you would leave it alone. But today, it has actually evolved to something fundamentally different. It has become the backbone of your enterprise security, right? The nerve center of your enterprise security. That thing that coordinates access, powers automation, detects threats, and of course enables real-time decisions for every system, for every user, be it human or non-human, in your organization. And here's the kicker from this report. 63% of global organizations are still at the very early stages of their maturity journey. They're dealing with manual processes, fragmented tools, and static permissions in today's dynamic world.
Exactly. For the past few years, we have partnered with McKinsey on the Horizon of Identity Security study. I know many of you might have read it. For those of you who may not, who may be new to the study, you can find a report and a quick, simple assessment on our website that will give you something very interesting. You have the benchmark stats, and you can see how mature your practice is. So coming back to this year's study, we surveyed 375 identity leaders globally. What we found is truly eye-opening. Identity has crossed a threshold. It's no longer just a foundational infrastructure. It has become the new frontier of security. So today, Jaishri and I will take you through the key insights from the study. We're going to tell you three threes. Three critical themes reshaping the identity landscape today. Three key takeaways that will help you change your identity strategy. And three pathways that will turn insights into action. Jaishri, let's get started.
All right, so Wendy, we'll start with the themes, yeah, 3 themes. So I'm going to start with the first theme. The first theme is about identity as your growth engine. Think about how we used to talk about identity. Users needed access, we grant it, we audit it, and we're done, right? Identity was a gate. You either got through it or you didn't. And that world today is dead. So what's happening now is a convergence of 3 forces. Matt spoke about it earlier: identity, security, and data. And all of this is fundamentally reshaping the enterprise architecture. And at the intersection of all these 3, something really powerful is emerging. Let's take an example. So when your identity system, when your identity platform that you all have, knows that Ashley from marketing just got promoted and needs access to budget planning tools, it doesn't just grant access, right? It triggers an automation workflow in your HR system. And then for that new role setup, and then adjusts her security permissions because now she has budget access changes. Her profile itself is changing. So that is really trifecta in action. Identity flowing seamlessly between security controls and business decisions, and enabling real-time decisions that are secure and intelligent. Because today, we have rich real-time identity data integrated with security analytics. The system knows that Ashley, from marketing, never accesses the financial databases. And when she does, when her credentials do, that is just not an access event. It is a potential threat detector. Right? It's just really, really interesting. So that theme number 1 that I've just started with, identity as your growth engine, now think about this, right? Identity is not reducing costs anymore. It's really driving revenue generation and business enablement. So that's theme number 1. Let's get to theme number 2, the great divide. So Wendy, take it away.
Yeah, so what we discovered this year really, really shocked us. Can you believe that for every 3 organizations moving forward in their identity security maturity, 2 would move back? Yes, they retrogressed. 6% of the organizations, they matured onto higher horizons, and 4% actually regressed. So think about it. How is that even possible, right? It's not because their programs got worse. It's not because they stopped investing in identity security. Why is it? It's because the bar kept rising higher and faster than they could adapt. They just couldn't keep up. And for the first time since we launched the original Horizon study, we raised the bar for Horizon 4 and beyond. Now it requires new capabilities like AI agent security, stronger use of identity data models, and just-in-time access controls. These were not must-haves for Horizon 4 in the past. And here is the reality. As Matt said this morning, 63% of the organizations, they're still stuck in Horizon 1 and 2. And they're the ones relying on fragmented tools, manual processes, and reactive approaches. They take days to provision a new hire, and deprovisioning a departing employee is not automated. It's a checklist item someone has to remember. Sorry, this is a little bit gloomy reality, right? But Jaishri has better news to share for those on Horizon 3 and beyond.
Yes, it's not all gloomy for companies that are in Horizon 3, Horizon 4. That really means, they're a little bit more advanced. They've got the right tools, they're looking at the right set of use cases. They're 4 to 8 times more likely to have real-time identity data synchronization. This report, folks, I'm sure you're going to go download it. It has a lot of good data that you all can use as data points for your organization. Horizon 3 and Horizon 4 companies are 4 times more likely to use AI-enabled threat detection. And they are about 4.5 times more likely to have unified policy enforcement across the entire cloud environments. So what's the biggest differentiators between companies that are in the very early stages and Horizon 3 and 4 and 5 companies, the advanced companies? The key here is about how you manage your non-human identities in the world today and their access. That's really the divide.
Yes, your organization is probably piloting ChatGPT integrations, deploying RPA bots, and experimenting with AI assistants. Each one of them need credentials. Each one of them need permissions. And each one of them become a security risk if not properly governed. The organizations that figured out how to catalog, authenticate, and manage these AI agents in real time, they're the ones going to Horizon 4 and beyond. What about the ones that didn't? They're falling behind, right? Even when they make progress on traditional identity capabilities, they're not going to make forward to Horizon 4 and beyond. So here is what we call the Great Divide. And that gap is widening every minute as we speak.
Awesome. So now we spoke about 2 themes. Now let's get to the 3rd theme. And this should get each one of your attention. Remember that 30% stat that Wendy highlighted, the 30% ROI statistic? So that's what's really interesting. Here's why it matters the most. Identity today delivers value in 3 dimensions. Let's start with the first one, right? First one is really cost reduction. We're talking about automating provisioning workflows today that used to take hours and days to minutes. Streamlining certifications and processes used to consume hours of a manager's time every quarter. Now we've cut short that time. So again, cost reduction. And at this point, companies have eliminated manual onboarding tasks that used to slow down new hires. There again, cost reduction. So that's the first value.
Yeah, in addition to cost reduction, it also helps with revenue generation, which is super critical. Think about it. When you accelerate time to access for your employees, your partners, your developers, you accelerate time to value. Let's look at the M&A examples, right? Companies with mature identity platforms, they can integrate new acquisitions 60% faster. That is revenue acceleration right there. Let's also dive into the business enablement at scale. When we integrate identity data flows into HR systems, CRM systems, or IT service management systems, you unlock automation. AI assistants get smarter, the workflows get faster, and decisions can become more precise, right? So here is the problem. Only 25% of the organizations, they see IAM as a business enabler. 57% still treat it like a security control or compliance checkpoint, unfortunately. They're really sitting on a gold mine, but they treat it like a cost center, right? The leaders, the ones who actually quantify the margin impact, not just the risk reduction, they're the ones getting the budget. They're building unified identity control planes across the cloud, the SaaS, on-prem, and AI ecosystems. And that right there is the Great Divide. So, what does this mean for all of you in the room? Jayshree, I know you have key takeaways to share.
Yeah, we spoke about the 3 themes. Now
Yes.
we're going to get to the 3 takeaways. Folks, we're making it really interesting for you all, right? When you all get access to that report, now it's going to be a breeze as you go through it. So takeaway number 1, AI agent is the new dividing line. I'll build on it a little further. It's really all around non-human identities. It's not single sign-on. It's not privileged access management. It is all around AI agent governance and its machine identity governance, right? If you can't catalog, you can't monitor, and you don't decommission your non-human identities at enterprise scale, you will fall behind, right? This isn't a nice to have for next year or in 2 years. It's table stakes for staying relevant today. Takeaway number 2, it's all around deployment. Right? So we found that organizations in this report, as we surveyed 375 identity leaders, we found that organizations with clean data before they start the migration journey were about 1.6 times more likely to succeed in their deployments. So meanwhile, many other projects still run over. You'll see that in the report. Many projects got delayed. They fail to improve the overall user experience. The difference isn't about the vendor you choose. It's about how well you execute data hygiene, risk-based sequencing, reusable templates. These all matter more than capabilities and checklists. This is where we at SailPoint are right here to work alongside with you as we move you from one horizon to another. Takeaway number 3, it's really around the business case. We've been talking about it for the past 2 to 3 years. Organizations that quantify the margin impact get more budget than those focused on just risk reduction. When you can show identity data powers AI personalization, it accelerates M&A acceleration, or it enables faster product launches, you move from a cost center to being a strategic enabler. But knowing these takeaways aren't just enough. You've heard the themes, you've heard the 3 takeaways. It's about the prescriptive path that we'd like to give you as part of this report. So Wendy, let's go into the pathways.
Yeah, let's look at these. So 3 pathways to turn these insights into actions. Pathway number 1, let's accelerate your horizon advancement. If today you're on horizon 1, you need to build a centralized platform with foundational controls and structured application onboarding. If you're on horizon 2, let's start with automation for the routine provisioning and certification workflows. If you're on horizon 3, let's deploy AI-enabled identity and threat detection and privileged account monitoring. If you're more advanced, focus on your AI agent governance and machine identity management. You really need to know where you are, and then you can take the next logical step. So our study gives you all the detailed findings behind these ideas. Second pathway, master deployment excellence. This really comes down to 3 core practices. Keep your identity data clean. Use a tiered governance framework that scales with your organization, and build reusable templates so that you don't have to recreate the wheel every single time. Here is the reality. We heard from many of you loud and clear. Deployment is not easy. It is hard. In fact, only 14% of the organizations we surveyed told us that their most recent deployment was completely successful. Only 14%. And nearly half of these deployments, or 48%, ran over budget. That means the majority of the companies are struggling to execute smoothly. But here is the good news. When organizations put these best practices into place, they're 1.5 times more likely to achieve complete success, and they're 1.5 times more likely to come in under budget. Pathway number 3, reframe identity as the strategic infrastructure. Stop treating it like just an IT control. It's a business enabler and a risk mitigator. It drives margin impact, revenue uplift, cost reduction, while at the same time strengthening compliance and risk mitigation. When you embed identity into the HR system for smarter onboarding, you can get that, right? You embed into CRM for personalized experience and into ITSM for better automation. And that's where identity delivers real business value. And together, all these outcomes roll up into one thing. That is the total economic impact that you can measure. And keep in mind, each pathway builds on the last. You cannot skip steps, but if you execute well, you can accelerate. So this brings us to our close.
Thank you, Wendy. So folks, I hope that was really interesting, right? Show of hands, how many of you are going to go download this report today? I don't see hands, please. Come on. I'm going to count the downloads today.
We're going to count it.
Exactly.
Yes.
No, this is fantastic, team. This is so important because it gives you that chapter 3, chapter 4 really goes into prescriptive pathways, right? Identity has fundamentally transformed. You heard from Mark, you heard from Matt, and you must be all excited about all the product launches, the capabilities that you just heard from Chandra. Identity is no longer that foundation control that you build once and you forget about. It, as I pointed out, it has become your nerve center. And right now, let's say this year, next year, we are at an inflection point. The gap between the winners and everyone else is widening. For every 3 organizations that are moving forward, 2 are falling behind. That's not because they're not trying, they're just not keeping up because the bar keeps rising, right? Because think about it. Last year, we were not talking about AI agents. We were talking about machine identities. So think about what more is going to come next year. The organizations that get this are the ones that are treating identity as a strategic infrastructure rather than a compliance checkbox, right? They're seeing the highest ROI in all of security. They're automating at scale, the governing non-human identities and AI agents, they're starting to, and turning identity data into a competitive advantage. So when you all have time today, in between the master classes, the breakout sessions, the theater sessions, and the expo area, go to the Innovation Hub. Ask about the horizons of identity. And if you haven't taken the assessment, go back next week and really work this with your teams to understand where you are in your journey.
Let's make a bet here. I bet you that your next 12 months is going to matter more than the past few years combined. If you're in that 63%, still stuck with manual processes and fragmented tools, let's start with automation. Clean your data. Build a foundation for what's next. If you're already advanced, then the AI agent governance capability you built now will really decide whether you lead or you follow for the next few years. Because identity is not just securing access anymore. It's about securing your future. The question is not about if you evolve, it is how fast you can move. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.